look at what AI is doing to education right now, and I work in education and I teach, and I have grown-up students, so it's slightly different, but I work with schools also. I speak a lot with teachers. Um, and I just see how students are completely incapable of formulating their thoughts, of writing an essay, finishing an essay. And by the way, and I was having this discussion yesterday with somebody very brilliant, like who does thought leadership, and he says, "Look, I find myself being constantly lazy and saying, like to ChatGPT, oh no, formulate this for me, formulate that for me." And we already have the research that shows that this does have a cost. So I read this study another day. I think it was from MIT. So they did like MRI scans of people who were using ChatGPT, I think, for write essays. And basically, I think after 10 minutes, they couldn't remember a single line of what they have written using ChatGPT. And I can tell you like an episode from my one of my past lives, career lives. I mean, I was a journalist for about 10 years, and that was when you still were doing your own writing and and you worked with a human editor. And I had a hardcore editor, but who taught me a lot. So I would write an article, and it would maybe take me like a week. I was working for something like The Economist, kind of covering business. And I would bring this article like a file to him that was saved like on the drive, and he would read it, so very good, and then he would close the file and press a delete button. And that means like the file was not saved, and he would tell me, well, and now go and reproduce whatever you remember. And that came as a shock. And having said that, that was probably one of the best lessons, because when you really remember, and you can reproduce what really matters, and everything else it's garbage. It should go, because your reader should not be reading garbage. If you ask anyone who wrote a ChatGPT article to do that, they will not be able to reproduce that. In fact, like they will hardly be able to reproduce anything they have written, because the speed and the so-called efficiency comes at the depth of processing. So we literally become people who are just pressing the buttons, but we're not letting things through ourselves. So therefore, again, talking about humanities, and the humanities, you can bring your own perspective into everything, right? When I'm reading, when I'm responding, yeah, I'm given to you some kind of like all my years of experience into this email, into this post. That doesn't happen if you're using ChatGPT to generate it. That's not to say you shouldn't use ChatGPT to generate texts, but that's that should be very separate type of tasks for which to use it. When you're not using your brain, when you're not, teaching yourself to process information at a very deep level, and that's exactly what humanities teach you to do, to see the context and to process information, and, like to be able to work with words, deep reading, writing, all these things, super important. If you're just faking it by, like feeding to ChatGPT or whoever it is the topics, if you have clean thinking, which is what most young people have, right? Like they can't stay focused on reading a book to 3 hours, and that's a real problem. They have completely unlearned the skill. Then the theoretical arts and humanities education is good, but the reality of it, it's preparing right now people who are completely uneducated. But there is a little problem with it, and the problem is that if